Hello, 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 and welcome to a beautiful day in Bermuda. I've just got my bike back yesterday, and I thought it'd be a good opportunity to do a 1 month owner's review of the Rieju RS3. She has had a few issues, but now I'd say she's pretty much perfect now. She's been fixed, and yeah, I thought I'd talk through the bike, how my experiences have been, also a little bit on the place I bought it from, and what it's like to own a Rieju. So, I'll start with the bad bits first, I guess. Well, not bad, but the not so good bits. So, initially, when I first bought the bike, you have the front here, so you've got your daytime running light, you have your headlight, and your full beam. Now, if you look on the ignition, there's a key. You see there's two positions for the key. So the first position should just be on and your daytime running light, and the second position should be your main beam. So when I first got the bike, in the first position, I don't know if you'll see the light on the camera, but the DRL is on. When I first got it, both key positions did the exact same thing. The headlight would come on too, but I've got them to fix that. So now, if I turn it to the second position, you can see it comes on. So that was one thing. That wasn't really much of an issue, to be honest. Another issue was that the exhaust, well, actually the main issue is this thing was restricting the bike hugely. As soon as you hit 7,000 RPM, it would bog down, and you'd pretty much have to fight your way up the rev range. So grind and grind and grind. It'd sound really clunky, and then you'd get to about 9,500 RPM, and you'd feel it suddenly release, and that's when the power came. So as long as you stayed above 9,000 RPM, it was fine. It just made it really unpractical though for riding round in cities and, well, not cities, but towns and stuff, because you had to have high rev range, otherwise you wouldn't have any power. So they have had it for a couple of times now. Initially, they first took it, they thought they fixed it, they got rid of the noise, but it was still holding the bike back. So I gave it back to them, and they've given it back to me yesterday, and it's completely gone. It's smooth all the way up through the rev range, and it pulls the whole way. So I'm really happy with that. Really happy with the service they gave me too, because they actually gave me a bike every single time they had it to ride, which is great, because for my job I need a bike, and they did it pretty quickly. I think they've had it twice now. So that's that. Rear brake's good. To be honest, I hardly ever use the rear brake. On the back you have the pillion pedals. I have had an issue with mine. I can't really show you on the camera, but there's a ball bearing inside, which is what lets it open and close. Now with mine, it got basically rusted a little bit inside, and it got stuck up. I couldn't get it down, but I used some WD-40 and that cleared that, and now it's pretty smooth. But again, that's not really a huge issue. So coming up, I've actually dropped the suspension, not by much. I got them to do that while they were looking at it last time. So in terms of looks, this bike is beautiful. I mean, if you were at a distance and didn't see how small it was, you'd think it was a proper bike. People often ask me what size it is and guess way too high, but no, it is only a 125. It actually feels like a big bike, to be honest. Other side, it actually has 6 gears, so first down, 5 up. Again, pillion pedal here. So let's have a look at the controls. So you got your brake fluid there, which I actually don't really like the look of. I think they could have done a better job with that, but that's no big deal. So you got your choke, you got your lap button, which actually does nothing, really. It just flashes your light. I was hoping it would be like a lap counter and you could time your laps with it, but it actually just warns people that you're about to overtake. Full beams, horn, indicators, left, right, push to cancel. Obviously a clutch. In here you have your speedo, which is in kilometers. Let's turn it on. You see it does a check. When you first turn it on, you get a red light, which you're meant to wait for. You can start the engine. It doesn't have a fuel gauge, that's one gripe. You can see here you have a neutral light when it's in neutral, which it isn't in at the moment.
You have the fuel light, which comes on to let you know you're running low, but you don't actually have a fuel gauge to know exactly how much fuel you have left, which actually I haven't found to be a problem. I thought it would be a problem, but actually it's been fine. I got used to it already. Full beam light, battery light. So at the moment it's in kilometers per hour because everything here is kilometers. A cool thing with this, I think it's this button here. You can go to here, which records your highest speed that you've been to. So if you're on the track, you can reset this and then basically floor it, and it will tell you how fast you managed to get on the straights. So that's quite cool. Not very good for the police. So that's that. Mirrors are good. I actually like these. Position's good. You can obviously move them around all over the place, but yeah, I find I can see a lot more than I could with the scooter. Windshield is not amazing, to be honest. It's a bit low, so you tend to get the wind straight into you. If I can, I want to find one of the double bubble windshields, which I think will cut that out. Fuel takes about $18 worth, which is probably about 12 to 14 pounds in England. So your fuel cap's there. You got some space under the seat. So there are some build quality issues with the Rieju, the seat being one of them. So I like this mechanism of getting the seat open because you can't lock your keys in. And that's the seat. Underneath there you have your air filter. You have no space really. You can maybe put a pair of sunglasses. And then that's the seat. As you see, it's just stapled together. I don't know if it'll come out. Where is it? Yeah, I haven't really done that much, but you can see it's starting to fray a little bit. And that's just after 1 month, so I'm probably going to have to replace this. Oh, helps if I put it. Yeah, it is the right way. There you go. So I'm probably going to have to get that replaced. Rear seat is the battery housing. So battery goes in there. Oh, another issue. Sometimes this housing for the headlight, or the full beam light, sorry, if you go too fast, the wind will push this out. So you have to remember to push it back in again sometimes. I've only had that happen a couple of times. It's not all the time. Brakes are good. As you see, I haven't got rid of my chicken strips yet. Still taking it easy on the bike mostly. Yeah, brakes are good. One gripe I have is that the bike only comes with one brake disc at the front, which is fine mostly because it's quite a light bike when you're riding on your own. But when you've got a pillion, it would be very nice to have that second disc brake. The other thing is, I notice as well, because there's only one on the front, sometimes when you brake, you can feel it want to pull to one side. But you only really notice that if you're braking sort of into a corner or out of a corner. But yeah, I wish there was another disc brake. Obviously there's one on the front, one on the back. Upside down forks, which is cool. I actually rode the Yamaha R125 2 days ago, or yeah, 2 days ago, and it has the right way around forks, and it makes a huge difference actually. When I was riding it, it felt a bit like a gyro. It wanted to stay upright, it didn't want to lean, and I think it's because all that weight at the top is down below. So it definitely took some getting used to, because this thing you can lean into the corners no problem, whereas that felt like it didn't quite want to. You have to really fight it to get it down. So otherwise it was a really nice bike, but I think if you change the suspension on it, you'd be a winner on that thing. This thing is carbureted, whereas the R125 is fuel injection, so this is actually quicker than the R125, and it keeps up nicely with the CBR 150s. So there's plenty of power. I think Rieju have tried to squeeze as much as they can out of the engine size that they have. Another gripe, the chain is not amazing. It's already stretched. It's stretched, I think, in the first week of owning it. My friend CJ, who also has one of these, has got the same problem. But the Cycle Zone, where I got this from, they actually tightened that up for me free of charge. So that was good. And some places like this, when you've got bare wires free, I'm not too keen on that. I'm trying to stay as honest as I can with this review, because I think that's important. Yep, indicators, they're actually bendable. I think they're still probably going to break if the bike drops. I don't think that's going to stop them from snapping off, but it's a nice thought. Huge change from riding a scooter, 100%. I actually think scooters are a bit of not necessarily a bad thing, but they teach you bad habits. I actually had my first crash, not on this thankfully, on the track. I was having some lessons, getting the knee down, and then
yeah, binned it in the corner, got target fixation, hit the corner, couldn't stay up and just went down. So my arm is actually sprained at the moment, and it's meant to be in a sling, but can't ride a bike with a sling, so I've kind of ditched it. So yeah, I can't really think of too much else to say. Riding experience, I mean, for the feeling alone, this bike was well worth it, 100%. It feels like a proper bike. The handling is really good. Dropping the suspensions helped, even though it's not that much. I don't know if you can see. It was flush when I originally got it, so it's only a few millimeters literally, but it feels much better. It really grips into the corner. Front end feels good. It does get hot, especially in Bermuda because it is so hot, but it does cool itself down. You'll hear the fan kick in, and that'll run till you either kill the engine or it cools itself down. One good thing about actually having this thing going for repairs is I've got to drive quite a few bikes. It's been quite good to test out some other things. I've tried some of the dirt bikes. I've tried other scooters and things. So in conclusion then, I would say it's well worth the money. If you are going to start riding and you want to get a bike, I would recommend it. It's cheaper than the R125, parts are cheaper, and it's quicker at the end of the day. It's nice and narrow, so you can fit through traffic. It's good for filtering, which is important here in Bermuda. And overall, it's really not a bad bike. Be prepared to have some issues like I have with the exhaust, but once you've got it all finished and it's working properly, then you're laughing. It's great. So yeah, we'll just do a quick ride. So another thing to note is you cannot start the bike unless it's in neutral and the kickstand is up. So neutral light is there. I don't know if it'll come out on the camera. Sounds not bad for a stock exhaust. I like it when you start getting high up in the rev range. It screams a bit like a Formula 1 car. Let's go. I've come down to this dock. I don't even know if I'm allowed in here really, but the gate was open. So I came in. So this is actually St. George's. Eva's off diving, so I thought it was perfect time to come out and do the video. This is one thing about Bermuda. Stop signs everywhere, and they enforce them. It's something out of the American. So you see now, it's going straight up through the revs, no problem. Up ahead, this is actually a rental scooter. One thing to note in Bermuda is you can't rent a car, you have to get a scooter, which is good and bad. I actually had to deflect a scooter away from crashing into this the other day. I literally shoulder barged him because he had no idea how to ride and he was aiming straight for my bike. But anyway, that's another story. See that, a lot of nice roads in Bermuda. They should do a not Isle of Man, a Bermuda TT. That would be awesome. There's actually quite a big riding community here. It's definitely a high rever. Most of the power is up in the top of the rev range. I think after about 6,000 to 6,500 is where it really kicks in. Oh yeah, one more thing. I mentioned it in my last video where I was riding this, but when I first got the bike, the idle was set way too high. It was at 2,500 RPM, and it made going into first gear pretty clunky. It's not a difficult fix. You basically take the tank off and there is a little dial which you can dial down. So my advice is start the engine if it is running high or too low, and you can twist it as the engine's idling and you can get it down to where you want it to be. I've got mine set to about 1,500. When the bike warms up it's more like 1,700, but that's fine with me. It's much better. Before it was about 2,500 and it was just noisy, and yeah, like I said, it made it very clunky. Also, while you're there underneath the tank,
there is a black cable at which you can disconnect, and that is basically your restrictor. So when you first get the bike, it will be restricted. It basically stops you going above the red line. I don't think it really does much else in terms of power. They say it gives you 20% more. I didn't notice any difference. When I first got the bike, I thought that the exhaust restricting it was the electrical restriction, and then when they removed the restriction and it carried on lagging through 7,000 RPM is when I realized, there is actually a problem. But it just seems to be this bike, CJ's one, he didn't have that, but he's actually put a whole new exhaust on, which sounds pretty damn good actually. Yeah, so I'm actually going to do a review of the jacket that I'm wearing. It's Dainese. It's the Hydra Flux D-Dry, and it's just briefly, it's a very nice jacket. I highly recommend it. It isn't perfect, but it's great for Bermuda because it keeps you safe, well, safer. You've got arm protection, unfortunately no back protection, but it is all mesh and it feels great when you're riding. Let's try and overtake this person and see what it sounds like further up in the rev range. Very nice. So I guess it's worth mentioning that I've done 1,661 or 62 almost kilometers already in the first month, and other than the chain and the exhaust, there has been no issues to report. Anything that does happen, I will document and do a video about. So my only regret about this bike is not getting it sooner, to be honest. I wish that when I first arrived that I did my manual test straight away and bought one of these. I didn't particularly like the Scoopy. I didn't feel that it was particularly safe, but not only that, it's hard to describe the feeling of riding it. It was very jittery. It didn't feel very planted. It just felt like it was gonna give at any minute, and to be honest, it made me nervous. Come on. Hello, doggy. Hello, doggy. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it for my review of the Rieju RS3. Hello, hello. Happy dog, happy dog. Yeah, this isn't my dog, by the way.